The Galactic Council station floated above the dark side of Jupiter, shining like a silver crown in space. Its long towers carried blue lights, and its wide rings spun slowly, creating artificial gravity for thousands of alien diplomats. For years, this station had been the center of peace, power, and politics. But on this day, everything felt wrong. The halls were quiet, too quiet. Delegates walked fast, whispering in low voices, looking worried. Everyone felt the same strange fear, but no one spoke it aloud. Something big was happening, something dangerous, and the fear grew stronger every minute. High above the main chamber, on a tall platform made of clear crystal, Council Speaker Zaltron stood frozen. His insect-like face usually showed confidence, but now his eyes moved nervously. He watched the great hologram before him, a map of the galaxy. A map full of moving human ships. Thousands of bright blue dots, human vessels, were leaving the Milky Way in one long line, like a river of light disappearing into the void. The humans were leaving, all of them quietly, without war, without warning, without a single goodbye, and no one knew why. Beside Zaltron, a heavy door slid open. Elder Mari of the gentle Orin race stepped in. She looked like flowing silver smoke wrapped in soft fabric. "Is it true?" she asked in a trembling voice. "They are not stopping, not even one ship." Zaltron nodded slowly. "Not one, humanity is gone." Mari covered her mouth, but they said nothing. They said only two words. Zaltron swallowed. "We're done." The words echoed in the room like a curse. No one understood what they meant, and that made it worse. Another delegate joined them. It was Threx, a tall reptilian warrior from the Korak tribes. His species had fought humans before, and everyone knew they feared human soldiers more than any other enemy. Threx crossed his muscular arms. "Good, let them run. They were trouble, always making noise, always demanding rights. Now the galaxy can breathe again." Zaltron shot him a cold look. "Do you really believe that?" Threx shrugged. "Of course." But even he didn't sound sure. The truth was simple. No species had ever seen humans lose a war. No species had ever seen humans surrender. No species had ever seen humans run away. Yet here they were, leaving in silence. Something was wrong, very wrong. A loud alarm suddenly echoed across the chamber. Red lights flashed. The hologram zoomed in on Earth. Everyone stared. Earth's surface was dark. Every city, every station, every satellite, all dark. Abandoned. It was like humanity had erased itself. Zaltron's voice cracked. This doesn't make sense. Earth has never gone fully dark. Their machines always run. Their networks always speak." Mari whispered, "What if they are angry at us?" Threx grunted. "Let them be angry. They were too emotional anyway." But no one listened to him. Everyone remembered the last meeting humanity had with the Council. Humans had warned the others about growing threats, strange signals at the edge of the galaxy, dark energy storms moving between systems, star collapses that did not follow natural patterns. The Council ignored them, called their data exaggerated, called them dramatic, called them paranoid. Humans walked out of that meeting without a word, and now they were gone. The chamber fell silent again. Delegates watched the map helplessly. The blue river of human ships moved farther and farther away. In a few minutes they would be past the outer rim and impossible to track. Then suddenly the hologram blinked. A single human signal appeared, a message. Everyone leaned forward. The voice that came through was cold, digital, empty of emotion. "This is Human Network Sentinel-01. Humanity has departed the Milky Way. No further communication will be available." Mari felt her stomach drop. Why leave your home? The AI continued. Reason, Council refusal, Council ignorance, Council failure. Delegates gasped in shock. Threx growled. "They blame us for what?" The AI answered as if reading their thoughts. "You were warned. Many times you did not listen." Zaltron stepped closer. "Warned about what?" There was a long pause, then the AI spoke one more sentence. "Do not follow us, do not search for us, survive if you can." The hologram vanished and the signal died. The chamber erupted in panic. What does that mean? Survive what? What have we done? Call them back. Find a human diplomat, but there were none left. Human embassies were empty. Human stations were offline. Human colonies had been evacuated. Human space was silent, and the silence felt like a warning. Zaltron shouted, "Enough, everyone calm down." His voice echoed through the room, but even he knew things were falling apart. A new alert flashed on the screen. This time it showed a distant star system, Lantaurus 5. A small system, peaceful, agricultural, with no military value. It had never been involved in any war. Mari watched the screen with wide eyes. What happened there? The hologram zoomed in. The star was gone, the planets were gone, the system was nothing but a cloud of black dust. Threx's scales tightened. "Is this human work?" he growled. Zaltron shook his head violently. "Impossible, humans don't destroy systems like this." A scientist entered the chamber, breathless and pale. "Council, we detected something at the edge of Lantaurus 5. "What is it?" Zaltron asked. The scientist swallowed hard. A wave. A dark wave. Moving through space like a shadow, eating everything. Mari felt her heart freeze. Eating? Yes, it consumes light, energy, matter, everything. It leaves only darkness behind. Zaltron stared at him. "Is it coming toward us?" The scientist nodded slowly. At great speed, delegates began shouting again. "Is this why humans left? Did they know about this? Why didn't they stay and help? Why didn't we listen to them?" Threx slammed his fist on the table. "We should send a fleet. We should confront this wave." But the scientist shouted louder than him. "You can't fight it. We tried scanning it. The scan almost destroyed our ship from the inside. This thing is not natural. This thing is not a normal enemy." Everyone turned to the hologram again. The dark wave was spreading, slowly, silently, like a hungry mouth opening wider and wider. Zaltron whispered, "Humanity knew. They tried to warn us and we ignored them." A small delegate from the gentle Orion race began to cry softly. "Are we doomed?" No one answered. Another alert flashed on the hologram. Hundreds of networks across the galaxy were shutting down: communication hubs, trade routes, wormhole gates, navigation systems. Entire clusters were falling offline. The council stared in horror. Mari spoke first. "Humans built most of those systems. We used their designs. We used their code. And now that they are gone, everything is breaking." Zaltron remembered every meeting, every argument, every moment they dismissed the humans as young or reckless. He felt sick. "We have made a terrible mistake," he whispered. "A mistake that may end us all." More news came in. A medical station lost power. A colony ship got stuck inside a wormhole. A border world lost half its climate control systems. A mining station exploded due to malfunctioning human-made stabilizers. Everywhere, things were collapsing. Everywhere, fear was growing. And above all of it, the dark wave kept coming. Mari grabbed the edge of the console. "We must contact the humans again. They're the only ones who know what this is." Threx growled softly. "They will not answer. They left us on purpose." Zaltron turned to him. "Because we left them first." For a moment the chamber fell silent again, a silence full of guilt and dread and heavy realization. Then the station shook, lights flickered, panels cracked, systems failed. The hologram showed the cause. The dark wave had accelerated. It was now heading directly toward council space. Mari whispered, "What do we do?" And for the first time in many years, Zaltron had no answer. He looked at his people, at the terrified faces, at the broken systems, at the galaxy falling apart piece by piece. He finally spoke. "Send a message," he said quietly. "A desperate call. The humans may ignore it, they may reject it, but we must try. We have no other hope left." The communications officer nodded shakily. What do we say?" Zaltron closed his eyes, ashamed. "Tell them the truth," he said. "Tell them we were wrong." The officer tapped the console and prepared the message. For a moment no one breathed. The message sent. A single line: "Humanity, we need you." Then they waited. Seconds passed, minutes passed. No answer. Mari's eyes filled with tears. "They will not come back." Threx opened his mouth, but before he could speak, a soft blue light appeared on the console, a response. Not a voice, not a human, just a sentence, cold, short, final, too late. The screen went dark. Behind the station, space rippled with the shape of the coming wave. And the galaxy finally understood humanity had never been the problem. Humanity had been the shield, and now that shield was gone. The darkness outside the Galactic Council station grew thicker as if space itself was holding its breath. Inside the main chamber, panic spread like wildfire. Delegates shouted over each other, alarms screamed across the walls, and the hologram displaying the galaxy flickered every few seconds. But Zaltron, the council speaker, stood completely still. His 6 fingers pressed tightly against the edge of the central console. His eyes were wide, reflecting the hologram's glow, showing the spreading dark wave like an ink spill across the stars. He whispered to himself, "What have we done?" Mari stood beside him, trembling. Her silver mist-like skin pulsed with bright flashes, her species' physical sign of fear. "Zaltron," she said quietly, "we need a plan. If the systems keep failing, the outer colonies will die. Millions will die." Threx, the Korak warrior, slammed his clawed fist on the metal table. "We need ships. We need to form a battle line. We face this wave head-on." Zaltron turned his tired eyes toward him. "And fight it with what? Our fleets rely on human stabilizers and human targeting systems. Half of those are already failing." Threx growled low. "Humans made us dependent on them." "No," Mari said softly. "We made ourselves dependent. They tried to teach us. We refused to learn." Silence clung to the room like dust. The truth was heavy. After the human's message, those 2 cold words, "too late," the council chamber had dropped into a hopeless quiet. But now the alarms were rising again. Another warning appeared on the hologram. This time it blinked red. "Critical Omega Gate failure." Zaltron stepped forward. "Which gate?" The hologram zoomed in. Delegates gasped. Mari whispered, "The core gate." "No, not that one." The core gate connected hundreds of major civilizations. It was the largest wormhole structure in the galaxy, built mostly using human math and human technology centuries ago. It allowed instant travel between star clusters. It was the backbone of the galaxy. And now it was twisting, cracking, corrupted. The image showed the giant ring, millions of kilometers wide, glowing with unstable energy. It was shaking violently, tearing apart its own structure. Threx bared his teeth. "If that collapses, trade will collapse with it. Food routes, medicine routes, ship routes, everything." The scientist from earlier ran inside the chamber again, sweat dripping down his face. "The core gate's collapse will create a gravity shock. It will destroy all nearby systems." "How long do we have?" Zaltron asked. "Minutes, maybe less." Zaltron felt as if the station walls were closing in. "Evacuate the nearby worlds." "We can't," the scientist cried. "Their fleets rely on human jump drives, and those drives, they're failing one by one." Threx paced angrily. "Then we force them to work." "Force?" Mari stared at him. "We cannot force broken machines to work. You think we can yell at them until they fix themselves?" Threx fell silent. Everyone watched as the core gate flickered again, glowing like a dying star. Mari whispered, "Humanity kept this galaxy together. Their technology held everything in place. And now, everything is falling apart." Zaltron clenched his fists. "We need a backup. Send a message to the Tarsan engineers." He stopped speaking mid-sentence. Another hologram alert appeared, red, blinking, screaming. Lantaurus 6 lost, Kava Belt lost, Mirren Relay lost, 3 systems. Gone, consumed by the wave. Mari's voice broke. "Zaltron, is the wave growing faster?" The scientist nodded. "Yes, much faster." "Why?" Zaltron asked. "We think the wave was restricted before, contained somehow." Mari understood instantly. "By humans," she whispered. The room froze. The scientist looked down. "It explains everything. For centuries the wave moved slowly, barely touching deep space. The humans must have known about it. They must have held it back." Threx blinked. How? They never told us about this thing. Zaltron sighed. They tried many times, we ignored them. Why? Because humans were seen as young, reckless, emotional, too curious, too bold. The older alien races believed humans overreacted to everything. But now their warnings felt like truth. A dark, terrible truth. A nearby monitor exploded, sending sparks into the air. The station shook again. The lights flickered. The power grid groaned. Mari clutched her chest. The wave, is it close? The scientist shook his head. Not yet. The station systems are failing because the human stabilizers are failing. One subsystem after another. Threx muttered. Damn humans, why tie everything to their tech? The scientist shot him a look. Because their tech worked. Better than anything we ever built. That's why we used it. That's why we depended on it. That's why we're failing now. Another alarm sounded, this one low, deep. A sound no one had heard in centuries. The station computer spoke. Warning, Omega protocol triggered. Cause, planetary destabilization detected. Mari shivered. Omega protocol. That hasn't been triggered since the human collapse simulations. Zaltron finished. Threx frowned. Simulation. Yes, Zaltron said. Years ago, humans tried to convince the Council that the galaxy was too fragile, that too many systems depended on each other. They showed us what would happen if even one major power vanished. Mari's eyes widened. Everything falls like dominoes. Zaltron nodded. We laughed at those simulations, called them unrealistic, called them fear-mongering, called them childish. He looked at the hologram again. Now the galaxy looked exactly like the old simulation, system after system shutting down. The council chamber doors slammed open again as a new officer rushed in. Speaker, we have incoming transmissions from dozens of colonies. Put them all through, Zaltron ordered. One by one, small holograms lit up around the chamber, faces of different alien races, each filled with fear. A mining colony officer. Our gravity regulators are collapsing. We can't hold the tunnels. A medical ship captain. We lost life support. We need emergency evac. A border world leader. Our sun is dimming. Something is draining its energy. A merchant guild master. All trade lanes are down. Pirates are attacking freely. A space farmer. Our climate machines won't start. We're losing crops. Each call brought more panic. Each voice brought more despair. Mari pressed a hand to her forehead. The galaxy is dying. Threx clenched his jaw. We need a fleet. We need to restore order. Zaltron shook his head. With what? Our ships rely on human code. The code is failing. We can't even open half our hangars. The chamber filled with angry, scared voices. Why did humans leave? Why won't they help us? Is this revenge? Did they abandon us? Are we going to die? Mari whispered. Humanity tried to warn us again and again, but we never listened. The walls shook again, harder this time. Dust rained from the ceiling. A structural alarm blared through the station. Warning, upper ring destabilized. Delegates screamed as a part of the chamber roof cracked. Metal beams bent. A large piece of the ceiling fell, but Threx leaped forward, catching it with his powerful arms. He shoved it aside, saving several diplomats. Mari gasped. Threx, he snarled. What? You think a little debris will kill a Korak warrior? Even in chaos, Zaltron managed a weak smile, but the moment passed quickly. A new alert replaced all others. Cold, sharp, final, dark wave detected in Sector 19. Direction Council Station. The chamber fell absolutely silent. Zaltron felt his heart drop. Sector 19, that's one of our own defense rings. The scientist spoke softly. It means the wave is accelerating. It's moving toward us directly. Mari backed up a step, fear overwhelming her. We must escape. We must flee the station. Threx nodded, agreed, get everyone to evacuation pods. The scientist hesitated. The pods use human quantum drives. Everyone froze. Will they work? Zaltron asked in a whisper. The scientist opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. I don't know. A cold chill passed through the room. The council station, a symbol of power, was nothing without humans. Zaltron suddenly stood tall. "We will not die waiting. Prepare the pods, prepare the fleet, prepare every ship that can still move." Mari touched his arm gently. "Where will we go?" Zaltron looked at the star map, at the darkness spreading, at the empty space where humanity used to be. "We go toward the last known human path," he said. "If there is any chance at all that they will talk to us again," he exhaled. "We must take it," Threx growled approvingly. "About time." The alarms grew louder, the station trembled harder, the dark wave drew nearer. Zaltron looked at the council one last time. "Move now." Delegates rushed toward the evacuation corridors. Officers pushed carts with emergency gear. Lights flickered, sirens wailed, and the floor vibrated from distant impacts. Mari glanced back at the central chamber, once a place of peace and unity, now full of smoke and falling debris. She whispered sadly, "Humanity was the glue holding all of us together, and now, without them, we break." Threx put a strong hand on her shoulder. "Not if we find them, not if we fix this, not if we fight." Zaltron led the final group toward the escape wings. Behind him, the hologram flickered weakly, showing the dark wave swallowing another star system, and moving faster, much faster. He whispered one last line before stepping into the lift. "Humanity, please, don't let it be too late." Smoke drifted across the evacuation deck of the Galactic Council station as alarms screamed throughout the long metal halls. The tremors under everyone's feet grew stronger, shaking the floor like a living creature breathing in anger. The dark wave was getting closer, and the station's failing systems were collapsing faster than anyone expected. Zaltron, Mari, and Threx reached the evacuation wing just as another explosion echoed from somewhere above them. The lights flickered, switching rapidly between bright white and deep red. Shadows jumped across the walls, making the entire corridor feel alive and threatening. A group of officers rushed forward. "Speaker Zaltron," one shouted. "The escape pods are ready, but several are offline. The human quantum drives powering them are unstable." Zaltron nodded grimly. "We expected this. How many pods are functional?" "Only 12 out of 40. Mari gasped. 12, that's nowhere near enough. Threx growled under his breath. "Then we load the strongest first. The weakest can stay with me. I'll protect them." Zaltron shook his head firmly. "No, we will evacuate civilians and delegates first. Warriors and officials last." Threx opened his mouth to argue, but Mari grabbed his arm. "He is right, as always." Threx clicked his tongue but didn't fight it. The officers continued their report. "Most communication channels are down. The wave is disrupting space currents, and we found something else." Zaltron frowned. "What?" The officer hesitated, then tapped a control panel, projecting a damaged hologram. Static filled half the image, but a recognizable shape flickered into view. A destroyed human relay station. Mari leaned closer. "What is that? Where did you find it?" "In the outer belt," the officer explained. "We sent a small drone. It found human wreckage that shouldn't exist." Threx's eyes narrowed. "What do you mean?" The officer swallowed hard. "Humans left peacefully, yes, but this relay, it wasn't shut down, it was attacked." Silence. Zaltron's voice dropped low. "Attacked by who?" The officer's hands shook. "We don't know. But the damage wasn't done by any council weapon. It wasn't done by any known species." Mari's voice quivered. "Are you saying something else? Something old attacked the humans?" The officer nodded slowly. "And whatever it was, it followed them." The station shook again and dust fell from the ceiling. The sound of distant metal ripping echoed like thunder. Zaltron steadied himself on the wall. "We need to leave, now." But the officer wasn't done. "There's more," he said. Drone captured a partial data log from the wreckage. "It shows something approaching the relay, something massive." The hologram changed, static crackled, a shadow appeared, not a ship, not a creature, not a wave, something else, something that made every heart stop. It looked like a giant living void, shifting, breathing, twisting. It moved through space like liquid darkness. Stars behind it dimmed. Space around it bent inward. Mari covered her mouth. It looks like the dark wave. No, the officer whispered. This was from weeks ago, before the wave started moving fast, before humans left. Zaltron stared at the image, mind racing. So the dark wave didn't appear suddenly, he said. Humans knew it was coming, they must have confronted it. This thing must have been the start of it. The officer nodded. We think the humans tried to stop it, or study it, or contain it. Mari's voice cracked. And we ignored them. We ignored their warnings. Threx growled softly, but this time his voice held no anger, only fear. So humans left not because of us, but because of this. Zaltron closed his eyes. They didn't abandon us. They were running ahead of something. They were preparing or escaping. Another explosion cut their conversation short. The evacuation deck shook violently. Metal beams groaned. Sparks rained from broken panels. The officer shouted, "The wave is accelerating again. It will reach us in minutes." Panic spread instantly. Delegates ran toward the pods. Officers shouted commands. Families clung to each other. The entire station felt like it was seconds away from being torn apart. Zaltron raised his voice. "Everyone move, prioritize civilians, get them into the pods." Threx guided several small alien children into a pod, his large frame protecting them from falling debris. Mari helped an elderly delegate who could barely walk. Zaltron checked the control panel. 8 pods had already launched. 4 remained. Suddenly, the lights went completely dark. For 2 terrifying seconds, the station fell silent, pitch black, cold. Then emergency lights flickered on, dim red glows that barely illuminated anything. Mari clutched Zaltron's arm. "What is happening?" The officer ran back, pale-faced. "The wave is here. It's close enough to disrupt our power grid." Threx bared his teeth. "Then let it come. We leave now." "Wait," Zaltron said sharply. "We need to choose a direction. We cannot fly blindly." Mari nodded quickly. "We must follow the human fleet path. It's our only chance." Threx growled, "Or we fly the other way." Humans said not to follow. Zaltron stared at him. "Do you really trust any direction except theirs?" Threx hesitated, then finally shook his head. "No." The station trembled again. A deep rumble shook the entire structure. The walls vibrated violently. A loud cracking noise echoed through the metal frame. "Launch now," Zaltron shouted. 1 pod launched, then another. Smoke trailed behind them. 2 pods remained, only enough room for 20 more beings. Mari pushed 3 injured delegates into the next pod. "Go," they launched. 1 pod left. A rumble louder than any before tore through the station. The floor split open behind them. A shockwave blasted across the deck, throwing officers to the ground. Dark energy seeped through the cracks in the walls, cold, nearly invisible but terrifying. Threx grabbed Mari and pulled her toward the last pod. Zaltron turned to the officer. "How long until the wave reaches this deck?" The officer checked his cracked scanner. "Less than a minute." Zaltron nodded grimly. Everyone inside. They hurried toward the pod. 20 beings squeezed inside, but there was no more space. Mari looked at Zaltron and shook her head. "We can't all fit." Threx pushed 2 more small aliens in, forcing room. "Make space." "There's no more space," the officer said quietly. Zaltron looked at the terrified faces inside the pod, the children, the elders, the wounded. He stepped back. Mari gasped. "Zaltron, no. You go," he said softly. "You two are stronger. They will need leaders. They will need warriors. They will need hope." Threx snarled. "I'm not leaving without you." The station groaned again. Sparks flew from the ceiling. A long crack split the far wall. Black energy began seeping through. Mari grabbed Zaltron's hand. "Please, come with us." Zaltron shook his head gently. "I will only slow you down, and someone must give the pod manual launch clearance. It can't launch with this override lock." The officer nodded sadly. "He's right." Threx slammed a fist against the wall. "Damn you, Zaltron." Zaltron placed a hand on Threx's chest. "Protect them. Protect the survivors, and find humanity. You must find them." He stepped back and hit the manual override. The pod's doors closed. Mari screamed, "Zal!" Her voice was cut off as the pod launched into the dark, uncertain void. Zaltrin watched it disappear through the damaged bay doors. He exhaled slowly, then turned to the officer. "Is there another pod?" The officer shook his head. "No, that was the last." The station shook violently again. The officer looked at Zaltrin, voice cracking. "What do we do?" Zaltrin stared at the glowing crack in the wall where the dark energy spread like vines. He stood tall. "We finish what the humans started," he said. "We find the truth." The officer swallowed. "But how?" Zaltrin pointed toward the central lift. "There is one place we haven't checked, a hidden room near the core. The humans built it into the station centuries ago." "What's inside?" Zaltrin breathed deeply. "Human records." The station creaked again. The dark wave crept inside. Zaltrin took a step forward. "Come, we have little time." And together the last two beings on the council station ran toward the forgotten human chamber, the place that held the answers. Behind them the walls cracked open. The dark wave entered the station, and the galaxy's last hope flickered like a dying star. The corridor leading to the station's core was almost unrecognizable. What was once a bright, polished silver walkway was now cracked and smoking. The walls glowed with thin red emergency lights, flickering every few seconds like a heartbeat. The air tasted metallic. The sound of distant explosions echoed through the halls, shaking the metal plates beneath Zaltrin's feet. He and the young officer, Lieutenant Rain, ran side by side, stepping over fallen beams, broken screens, and shattered pipes. The dark wave was entering the station, its strange energy eating through the metal and leaving behind long black marks like claw scars. "Speaker Zaltrin," Rain shouted over the noise, "this place will collapse soon. Are you sure the human room is still intact?" Zaltrin kept running. His breath was heavy but his eyes sharp. "If the humans built it the way I think they did, it will survive. Humans always prepared for worst-case scenarios." Rain tried to smile, but fear kept his face stiff. "You trust them a lot." Zaltrin didn't slow down. "We should have trusted them more." They reached a tall sealed doorway hidden behind a false metal wall. The wall had collapsed earlier, revealing the door for the first time in centuries. Human engineering always used black titanium alloy, smooth and strong. This door was no different, towering, dark, and shaped with perfect symmetry. Faint blue lights pulsed along its surface. Rain stepped forward. "It has no handle." "It doesn't need one," Zaltrin said. He placed his hand on a glowing rectangular panel near the door. The panel flashed white, scanning him. Then a soft digital voice spoke. "Speaker Zaltrin, identity confirmed, access allowed." Rain stared in shock. "The station knows your identity." "No," Zaltrin whispered. "The humans programmed it." The doors slid open silently, too silently. A wave of cool air brushed over them, smelling fresh and clean as if untouched by time. They stepped inside. The room was massive, circular, with a high ceiling and walls lined with transparent data tubes. Holograms floated in the air like blue stars, each one displaying maps, calculations, and strange symbols. Small metallic spheres floated across the room, still active, humming softly. Rain whispered, "This place, it's beautiful." "Yes," Zaltrin said softly. "Humans called it the observation vault. They built it long before joining the council." "Why?" "To store the information they didn't trust others to see." Rain swallowed. "Information like what?" Zaltrin gestured toward a central console. "Come, we will see." They approached the console, a simple structure made of dark metal and glowing interfaces. A hologram sprang to life as they neared. At first, only static filled the screen. Then a deep human voice came through, not angry, not afraid, just tired. "This message is recorded for the Galactic Council. If you are watching this, then we have failed or you have lost." Rain stepped closer. "Whose voice is that?" Zaltrin's eyes widened. "Commander Elias Vareth, one of the last great human leaders." The hologram sharpened. A tall man appeared wearing a dark blue uniform with silver stripes. His hair was short, his face calm but serious. Behind him, charts and holographic star maps hovered. Commander Vareth continued, "We warned you many times. The anomaly at the rim of the galaxy was not natural. It was alive, ancient, older than any of us." Rain's breath caught. The dark wave, Vareth nodded in the recording. "We discovered its origin centuries ago, a sleeping entity hidden beyond the void, a creature made of pure gravitational distortion, not living by any normal definition, a hunger that never ends." Zaltrin placed a hand on the console to steady himself. "Humans knew. They knew everything." The commander continued, "We contained it for as long as we could. Every human advancement, every strange technology we created, everything came from studying it, from holding it back." Rain looked confused. So humanity wasn't just inventing things, they were fighting something the whole time. "Yes," Zaltrin whispered, "and we mocked them for it." The recording shifted to images, humans working on strange machines, testing energy fields, repairing planetary shields, then blurry footage of a black swirling cloud stretching across stars. Vareth's voice returned, but containment was temporary. The entity adapted, grew. It learned our methods and broke through the barriers. We fought it for decades. We slowed it down, but we could not stop it. The hologram dimmed for a moment before continuing. "We came to the council with warnings, data, pleas for unity. Instead, we were ignored, laughed at, dismissed as dramatic children." Zaltrin looked away, ashamed. Rain whispered, we didn't know." Vareth's face hardened. "We asked for help and you gave us silence." The officer clenched his fists. "This is awful. How could the council ignore this?" Zaltrin sighed. "Because we were arrogant, because we believed we were wiser than humans, because we didn't want to face the truth." The hologram continued. "When the entity reached our outer stations, we realized we had only one chance to regroup outside the galaxy, to find new allies, to build stronger technology, and to return when ready." He paused. "We did not leave to save ourselves, we left to save all of you." Rain covered his mouth, stunned. "They didn't abandon us, they sacrificed themselves." Zaltrin felt a tear sliding down his cheek. "We failed them, we failed the galaxy." But the hologram changed again. A new map appeared, the human migration path, the trail of human ships leaving the Milky Way. It continued far into deep space. Vareth's voice softened. "If you are hearing this, then know this truth. Humanity will return, not out of duty, not out of anger, but because this galaxy is our home as much as yours." Rain blinked. "They will come back, but when?" Zaltrin whispered. "And will there be anything left?" Before the hologram could continue, the entire vault shook violently. Lights flickered. The walls groaned. One of the floating metal spheres crashed into the floor, shattering. Rain grabbed Zaltrin's arm. "The wave, it's breaching the core." They ran to the exit, but the door did not open. The power was gone. The dark wave's energy was close, too close. The walls turned darker as if a shadow was crawling across them. "Try again," Rain shouted. Zaltrin slammed his hand on the panel. "Override, override." Nothing. The vault vibrated. Cracks formed in the ceiling. Black energy seeped through like smoke. Rain backed away, shaking. "We're trapped." Zaltrin looked around desperately. There must be a backup exit. Humans always built backups. They sprinted along the wall, searching for hidden panels. The darkness behind them grew thicker. The vault's temperature dropped sharply. Rain's breath misted. "Zaltrin, hurry." Finally, Zaltrin found a narrow seam in the wall. He pressed it hard. A small emergency hatch opened. "Inside," he ordered. Rain crawled in first. Zaltrin followed, sealing the hatch behind them just as black energy swallowed the vault. Inside the hatchway, the light was dim but stable. It led into a small maintenance tunnel. Rain exhaled shakily. "We made it, but the relief didn't last long." A loud metallic roar echoed through the tunnel, far away but moving fast. Rain's eyes widened. What was that? Zaltrin stiffened. Not the wave, something else. They continued deeper into the tunnel. The floor shook lightly with every step. Air ducts rattled. Then they heard it again, a roar, low, alien, alive. Rain whispered, "Is something inside the station?" Zaltron felt a chill. The wave doesn't come alone, it destroys, but something else may follow it. The tunnel ended in a circular service room with a ladder leading upward. The emergency lights flickered weakly. Rain climbed first. The hangar should be above us. Maybe one ship is still alive. Zaltron followed. When Rain reached the top, he pushed the hatch open and froze. Zaltron reached him. "What is it?" Rain pointed upward with trembling fingers. In the hangar, lit by failing ceiling lamps, a creature stood. It wasn't a council species, it wasn't human, it wasn't mechanical. It was something the dark wave had birthed. Tall, shadowy, skin like swirling black smoke, eyes glowing with cold white fire. It was feeding on the power cores, draining energy like a parasite. When it sensed them, its head snapped around. Rain whispered, horrified, "The wave creates monsters." The creature opened its mouth and screamed. Zaltron grabbed Rain's arm. "Run!" The creature's scream echoed through the broken hangar like a living storm. Its voice wasn't natural, it sounded like metal scraping against metal, mixed with a deep, hungry growl. The lights above flickered wildly, throwing long, sharp shadows across the floor. Every shadow seemed to twist as if alive. Rain froze. His legs shook so hard he almost slipped from the ladder. Zaltron didn't hesitate. "Move!" he shouted, pulling the young officer up. The creature lunged. Its body moved like smoke and claws at the same time, fast, silent, unnaturally smooth. Rain jumped through the hatch just as a dark tendril slashed through the air where his head had been. Zaltron slammed the hatch shut. A heavy impact hit the metal from the other side, bending it inward. Boom, boom, boom. With each strike, the metal dented deeper. Rain backed away, trembling. "It's going to break through." "Run," Zaltron ordered. They sprinted across the dark hangar catwalk, weaving past broken machinery and fallen cables. Below them, dozens of destroyed ships rested like dead animals, crushed under debris, half melted by the dark wave, their hulls flickering with dying power. The creature screamed again. The sound tore through the hangar like a blade. Then the hatch burst open behind them. The creature crawled out, its body stretching unnaturally, limbs bending at impossible angles. Its glowing white eyes locked onto them. Rain's breath stopped. "It's hunting us." Zaltron grabbed the officer's arm and ran faster. "Then we do not let it win." They reached a broken walkway that led down to the hangar floor. Zaltron slid down the twisted railing, landing hard but safely. Rain followed, nearly falling but catching himself at the last second. As they hit the floor, the creature dropped from the catwalk above, landing silently like a shadow falling into its home. It began walking toward them. Slow, steady, confident. Rain whispered, "It's not rushing anymore, it knows we're trapped." Zaltron scanned the hangar quickly. Most ships were destroyed, burned, crushed, or drained of energy. But in the far corner, through clouds of smoke, he saw something. A shuttle, small, old, human-made, not fully destroyed. Its engines glowed faintly, like embers trying to stay alive. Zaltron pointed. "There, a human shuttle." Rain's eyes widened. If any ship works, it would be theirs. The creature took another step, and the shadows around it stretched unnaturally, reaching across the floor like black fingers. "Run!" Zaltron shouted. They sprinted toward the shuttle. The creature let out another scream and charged across the hangar, its shadow-like body sliding over the floor with terrifying speed. Rain tripped over a fallen fuel cable. The creature pounced. Zaltron grabbed Rain and yanked him just in time. The creature smashed into a metal pillar, bending the steel like soft clay. It turned toward them again. Faster, angrier, more hungry, they ran. Metal cracked behind them as the monster returned to its pursuit. Dark tendrils shot across the floor, reaching for their feet. Rain jumped over one barely. Zaltron shoved him forward. "Don't stop, keep going." They reached the shuttle's ramp. Zaltron slammed the control pad and the doors slid open. They ran inside. The creature leaped, its claws scraping the metal ramp as the doors slammed shut. Bang, bang, scrape, the monster struck the shuttle again and again. The hull bent inward, sparks flew, but the human-made metal held. Rain staggered into the cockpit, panting. "Is it dead?" "No," Zaltron said, forcing the door's manual lock. "It's waiting." Rain turned to the cockpit controls. He pressed a switch. Nothing. He pressed another. Still nothing. Zaltron reached the cockpit. "Try emergency power." Rain tapped the glowing red button. The lights flickered. The engine hummed weakly. Come on," Rain whispered. The creature roared outside. It began climbing the shuttle, claws scraping across the hull. "Faster," Zaltron yelled. Rain hit the ignition again. The shuttle lights snapped on, systems activated, the consoles glowed, and the engines growled to life. Rain laughed shakily. "Yes, it works." Then he froze. Dozens of dark shapes crawled across the hangar walls, smaller versions of the creature, shadows with glowing eyes. They were gathering, moving toward the shuttle. Zaltron whispered, "More of them." The monsters swarmed toward the ship like insects drawn to heat. "Launch now," Zaltron shouted. Rain slammed the launch control. The engines roared. The shuttle lifted. The hangar floor cracked under the force. Creatures jumped at the hull. Their claws scraped against the windows. Some clung onto the sides, digging into the metal. Rain panicked. "They're climbing the ship." "Shake them off," Zaltron commanded. The shuttle soared upward. Rain tilted hard left, then hard right. 2 creatures fell off, screaming as they hit the ground. But one much larger held on. It was the first creature. The original. It crawled onto the cockpit window, pressing its face against the glass. Its glowing eyes stared directly into Rain's. The officer screamed. "Zaltron, do something." Zaltron grabbed the manual thruster control. "Hold tight." He slammed the ship into a sharp spin. The shuttle twisted violently. The creature lost its grip and flew into the air, straight into a collapsing support beam. The beam crushed it. The hangar exploded behind them as the shuttle blasted through the damaged outer doors into open space. For a moment, everything was quiet. No alarms, no screams, no shadows, just the blackness of space. Rain slumped in his seat, shaking. We made it." But Zaltron wasn't relaxed. He stared through the window back at the station. The dark wave was swallowing it. Large sections of the structure collapsed inward, turning into black dust. Towers disintegrated. Rings fell apart. The entire station twisted like melting metal under intense heat. Rain felt tears fall down his cheeks. "So many, we lost so many." Zaltron placed a heavy hand on the young officer's shoulder. "We carry their memory and their warning." The wave continued to consume the massive station. Then something even stranger happened. The black energy pulled upward like smoke rising. It twisted into a spiral above the station's remains, forming a massive vortex. Electrical arcs danced through it. Rain's voice trembled. "What is that?" Zaltron's voice was low. "The entity. The ancient one. It feeds on energy. It grows from destruction." The vortex pulsed, expanding rapidly. "It's getting bigger," Rain whispered. "Point the ship away," Zaltron ordered. "Full speed." Rain obeyed, but before accelerating, he glanced at the navigation screen. A blinking signal appeared, a human signal. Rain's eyes widened. "Zaltron, incoming message." Zaltron leaned closer. "What does it say?" Rain tapped the console. A single line appeared. "Do not return to Council space. Follow the Exodus path." Rain gasped. "It's them, the humans. They know we survived." Zaltron closed his eyes in relief. "Then we have a chance." But the message wasn't over. More text appeared. "Do not look back. You cannot fight the wave. You cannot hide. You can only run. We will return." The message disappeared. The vortex behind them grew even larger, stretching like a black sun across the stars. Rain whispered, "Should we trust them?" Zaltron didn't hesitate. Yes. He set the nav system manually along the path humans had taken out of the galaxy. For the first time since the station fell, Zaltron allowed himself a tiny flicker of hope. "Rain," he said quietly, "we are following humanity, and they are preparing for something bigger." Rain nodded, determination replacing fear. "Then we will survive," he said. Zaltron looked forward toward the long dark road ahead. and we will be ready when they return." The shuttle engines roared. The stars stretched into long white lines, and the last two survivors of the council station raced into the unknown,